And another turnover. Number 11 for Pepperdine.
That was excellent defense one-on-one from Matt Bolden, because it would have been a layup otherwise.
Well, if you're Tom Asbury, your team is down by 16 points. There's 3:42 to go in the first half. You just try to urge your guys to try to get it to single digits before half.
Absolutely. You got to pick it up on the defensive end in particular. You know, he's definitely the kind of coach that's going to push defense, whatever it takes. If nothing else, you can bring the D.
There you see his record. Of course, he was the head coach at Pepperdine from 89 to 94 before leaving for Kansas State. Great record. He was the coach of the year in the early 90s, 3 NCAA appearances, and of course 38 consecutive wins. This guy was the West Coast Conference in the early 90s.
Oh, he really was. You know, there's no doubt about it. And now, though, this program has had 7 different coaches in 14 seasons. So I think they have to be happy bringing him back. His assistant coaching staff, all former players at Pepperdine. And some may say that's not a great idea, but in a situation where there's a program you're trying to bring back and build it up, I think maybe not a bad idea, because these guys know what it's like to be a part of a successful Pepperdine program.
And of course, he's got great tradition to build from.
Exactly.
Which is very important when you're trying to resurrect a program. Here's Will Foster into the game for Gonzaga, number 45. Kick out Downs, that's short. Tipped back by Foster. May have been Shannon for Pepperdine. But either way, it falls in and Foster gets the points.
He's big, those long arms. He doesn't get a ton of minutes, but he's always altering things when he's out there. He's always doing something.
Foster 7'5" out of Buckley, Washington. There's Thompson with a one-on-one. Got at the hornbuckle. Step back 3. That's off. Dupree with the rebound. Taken away from behind by Pargo. Lost out of bounds. And it's Gonzaga basketball. Turnover number 12. 2:58 to play first half. Gonzaga leading it by 18, led by Josh Heitfeld, 16 and 16 rebounds. We'll be back.
I was getting depressed because of all the stress I was feeling at home. Had a poor credit score and the number would haunt me wherever I go. But I moved to a place where my credit could stink and nobody would care. I just wish that somebody had told me that place was a Renaissance fair. FreeCreditReport.com. Tell your friends how you're
getting it by 18, 38-20 on Pepperdine on their home court. A reminder to everyone coming up at halftime, Sports Center U with Lowell Galindo and Jason Capel. They'll take a complete bracket buster look, and of course, a look at number 2, Oklahoma, Texas. And like every weekend now, Krista, it seems in college basketball, more upsets. Washington State got UCLA today, and Maryland beat North Carolina. Who can figure this out?
It's almost a jinx to be in the top spot. It's like a revolving door. There have been so many different teams that have filled that spot.
It's almost a curse.
It really is. You're right.
But I think that's what attracts so many to this game of college basketball. That's what has made the NC2A tournament so enormously successful over the years, is the fact that on any given night,
anything can happen. It really can. And when it comes tournament time, it's like a whole new season, because it's up for grabs. You get yourself to that point, anything can happen. Speaking of the tournament, this team knows a little something about it.
10 consecutive years now. Of course, Mark Few, the head coach for 9 of those 10 years. Dan Munson, that first year back in 98-99, the team went to the Elite 8. Munson now down at Long Beach State. He's got that team in first place. And Jeremy Pargo at the free throw line, extending this lead to 19.
The West Coast Conference had 3 teams a record last year in the NCAA tournament. It was San Diego able to pull off an upset over Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference Championship. They got themselves in. St. Mary's was in.
Tucker, nice job offensively to draw that foul on Jeremy Pargo. This will be 6 on Gonzaga, the first on Pargo. Yeah, you know, sometimes I don't think the West Coast Conference gets enough attention. Last year, as you said, for the first time in its history, 3 teams go to the NCAA tournament. Bill Greer got his San Diego team down there, and of course, St. Mary's now has been good for quite a few years as well.
Yeah, they have, and it's been a tough season, because I really felt coming into it that they could potentially have 2, maybe even 3 again this year because they had so many of the same players back from those programs. But with some injuries that have occurred, San Diego, and then the RPIs, I think the strength of schedule hasn't been there for those other teams. So a lot of it's going to come down to West Coast Conference tournament play and how they do.
Well, Bill Greer in San Diego lost Brandon Johnson early in the schedule. They're all-league point guard, and of course, when you lose your point guard, we all know what happens to basketball teams.
Right.
And of course, St. Mary's lost Patty Mills, their all-league point guard.
Yeah, a big difference, and devastating to San Diego because they haven't had the depth. Maybe not quite as devastating to St. Mary's because they were a little bit deeper team. They had a few experienced guards over on the bench, but still, it was definitely upsets for both of those teams.
Matt Bolden now with 13 points. 2 of 4 from behind the arc. Hornbuckle to Shannon. And now the turnover. Shannon lost that ball out of bounds. Will Foster there defensively. And Pepperdine now with 13 turnovers.
Before Matt Bolden was able to hit that 3, Gonzaga had missed their last 10 from behind the arc, but they were almost perfect from everywhere else on the court. So you wondered, would they keep shooting 3s? But they're not going to stop doing what's gotten them to this point. If you've got that open look, you've got the green light.
Micah Downs got his own rebound back. And you see Gonzaga going inside. Downs now is 6. So if you're the head coach and your team is shooting so well inside the paint, but not so well behind the arc, do you tell a veteran team like this one to, hey, let's get the ball inside?
I think you trust their judgment. I think they really do have the green light. I think they have to make smart decisions. I think as a player, you're calculating. Hey, I'm a little off, so I'm going to go ahead and attack. Get something going inside, then I'll step it back out. But if you're wide open and you're a confident enough shooter, you're going to take that shot.
Rico Tucker, a 22% shooter from behind the arc, silences the crowd with a big bomb from the corner. And now Downs with the lob to Foster, who at 7'5" tried to reverse it. It's Pepperdine basketball.
Talking about the three-point shooting and whether or not you're going to stop, though, Greg, I think if it was a close game, I might be telling you something different, but I think right now you trust the judgment of these guys.
What do you think this team's ability, talking about Gonzaga now, to make a deep run in this tournament, the NCAA tournament in March, as we take a look at what they've done this year?
I think they've had a very tough schedule. I think they had key wins, as we saw Oklahoma State. A couple of losses where you said, what's going on with this team? How does that happen? But for the most part, I think they've got a great inside-outside attack. The only potential, I think, missing for them right now is Robert Sacre, that kind of a banger-type player. He has been out with a stress fracture in the foot, had the pin, broke it, and has now been out. So really the only missing piece to them is that kind of big banger guy in the middle. Other than that, great inside-outside team.
Sacre is back and cleared to practice, but has not been cleared to play games yet for Gonzaga. We're down to 14 seconds. 5 on the shot clock, and Bolden rattles in another 3. He's got 16 points, now tied with Heitfeld for the game's lead. And now Tucker trying to beat the clock. Oh, I thought that was dead on. And Gonzaga goes to the locker room now